History has given us a Cleopatra of perfume and silk, a Cleopatra whose power came from her beauty, whose story is really just a love story, whose greatest achievement was capturing the hearts of powerful men. That Cleopatra is a myth. The real Cleopatra was something far more extraordinary. A scholar, a linguist, a military strategist, a politician of breathtaking skill who kept her country independent against the most powerful military empire on earth for 21 years. She did not seduce her way to power. She thought her way there, and when she finally lost, she refused to become anyone's trophy. This is a real story. The woman history Masquerade was born in 69 BC into the Ptolemaic dynasty, Greek rulers who had controlled Egypt since the death of Alexander the Great. Nearly 300 years earlier, her family had ruled Egypt for 2.5 centuries. They had lived in Alexandria, the most cosmopolitan, most intellectually extraordinary city in the ancient world. And in all that time, not one member of her family had bothered to learn the Egyptian language. They spoke Greek. They ruled Egyptians. But they never spoke to them. Cleopatra changed that. She learned Egyptian. She also learned Ethiopian, Hebrew, Aramaic, Parthian, Latin, and several others. 9 languages in total, according to the ancient writer Plutarch. She was the first ruler of her dynasty who could actually speak directly to her own people, to the priests, the merchants, the farmers, the soldiers who made up the country she ruled. That one fact tells you everything you need to know about who Cleopatra really was. She was not waiting to be seen. She was working to understand. The fight for her throne became co-ruler of Egypt at 18, alongside her younger brother Ptolemy, 13. The arrangement was supposed to be a partnership. Her brother's advisors had other ideas. Within 3 years, they had driven Cleopatra out of Alexandria entirely. She was in exile, in the desert, on the Syrian border, raising an army, preparing to take back what was hers. Then Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt. Caesar was the most powerful man in Rome. He had come chasing his defeated enemy Pompey. But Pompey was already dead, killed on the Egyptian shore before Caesar even arrived. Now Caesar found himself in a complicated country, in the middle of a civil war between 2 royal siblings, and he needed information. He needed an ally who understood Egypt. The famous story is that Cleopatra had herself smuggled into the palace, rolled inside a carpet, or perhaps a linen sack, to get past her brother's guards and meet Caesar directly. Whether the exact details are true, the spirit of the story is real. Cleopatra took an extraordinary personal risk to secure a face-to-face meeting with the most powerful man in the Mediterranean world. She got her audience. She made her case. Within days, Caesar had decided to support her. Together, they defeated Ptolemy. 13. Cleopatra was restored to her throne. Caesar and the world she and Caesar became partners in politics and in life. She bore him a son named Caesarion, Little Caesar. She traveled to Rome and lived openly in a villa across the Tiber as Caesar's companion, while Rome watched with a mixture of fascination and fury. Rome hated her. She was foreign. She was powerful. She had influence over Caesar. Senators feared Caesar wanted to make himself king and make this Egyptian woman his queen. Then, on the Ides of March, 44 BC, Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times on the floor of the Roman Senate. Cleopatra fled back to Egypt, alone again. Her son still a child, her protector gone. The most powerful empire on earth in civil war, and Egypt caught in the middle. She had survived worse. She started thinking ahead. Mark Antony and the Eastern Diarrheum Rome tore itself apart after Caesar's death. 2 factions emerged. Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, in the west. Mark Antony, Caesar's most powerful general, In the east, Antony summoned Cleopatra to meet him in the city of Tarsus. It was meant to be a summons, a reminder of who was in charge. Cleopatra turned it into theater. She arrived on a golden barge with silver oars and purple sails. She was dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, surrounded by children dressed as cupids, attended by servants dressed as sea nymphs. A scent of burning perfume filled the harbor. The sound of music carried across the water. Mark Antony sat waiting. On his throne in the city center, he found himself sitting alone. Every single person in the city, every man, woman, and child, had gone to the waterfront to watch Cleopatra arrive. She had made her point before speaking a single word. They became partners. In life, in politics, and in an extraordinary shared vision, an Eastern empire combining Roman military power and Egyptian wealth that could challenge even Octavian. She bore Antony 3 children. He granted her territories. Together they imagined a world. The war for everything back in Rome. Octavian used their relationship as propaganda. Antony had abandoned Rome. He was bewitched by an Eastern queen. He was a traitor to Roman values. The Roman Senate declared war, not on Antony, but specifically on Cleopatra. It was a deliberate choice, a way of framing the coming conflict as Rome against a foreign enemy rather than Roman against Roman. The decisive battle came at Actium, on the western coast of Greece. In 31 BC, Octavian's fleet against Antony and Cleopatra's combined forces. It went badly. Cleopatra's ships withdrew. Antony, seeing her leave, made the decision that destroyed him. He followed. Their forces collapsed. Their allies abandoned them overnight. Egypt fell to Octavian without a real fight. The final ACT Antony died first. Receiving a false report that Cleopatra was already dead, he fell on his sword. He died in her arms, carried into the monument where she had taken refuge. Then Cleopatra met with Octavian. She studied him carefully. She had read Caesar. She had read Antony. Now she tried to read Octavian. What she read was this: he wanted to take her back to Rome, to parade her through the streets in chains, behind his chariot, in the ultimate display of Roman triumph. The most powerful woman in the world, humiliated in public, for all of Rome to see. Cleopatra had spent her entire life refusing to be anyone's spectacle. On August 12, 30 BC, she died. Ancient sources say a snake, an Egyptian cobra, a royal symbol, a symbol of divine protection, was smuggled to her in a basket of figs. Whether that is exactly true, we cannot say. What we know is that she chose how she died. She dressed in her royal robes. She wore her crown. She died as a queen, on her own terms. The legacy that never died. With her death, Egypt became a Roman province. The 3,000-year age of the pharaohs, the longest-running civilization in human history, was over. Ended not by invasion, not by conquest, but by the death of one woman who had held it together through will alone. Octavian became Augustus, the first Roman emperor. He understood Cleopatra's power so deeply that he had her son Caesarion, the child of Caesar, hunted down and killed. He was afraid of what the son of Caesar and Cleopatra might become. Even dead, she terrified him. 2,000 years later, we are still telling her story. Films, plays, novels, paintings. No figure from the ancient world, except perhaps Caesar himself, has captured the human imagination more completely or more consistently. Why? Because her story is about something that does not age. A person who was smarter than almost everyone around her, who refused to accept the limits the world tried to place on her, who fought brilliantly, desperately, with everything she had, to protect everything she loved. She fought empires. She raised children alone. She reinvented herself again, and again in a world that wanted her gone. She lost. In the end, Octavian won. Rome absorbed Egypt. History moved on. But here is the truth about Cleopatra that matters most. Octavian built an empire that lasted 500 years. Then it fell, and the world forgot most of what he did. Cleopatra lost everything. And the world never stopped talking about her. Some people lose the battle and win history. She is one of them.